So the movie Creep and its sequel, Creep 2, written and directed by Patrick Bryce, who also acted in the movie as Aaron, Joseph's 39th victim, is a total mindfuck. And this is only for one reason. That is Joseph's insane personality. The Creep films explore the twisted world of a character named Joseph, whose psychological complexities and disturbing behavior propel the story forward. And today, we'll be exploring the chilling character of Joseph, played by Mark Duplass. We'll dissect his behaviors. We'll take a deep dive into his psychological profile.
Do you believe that I'm a serial killer?
And try to understand what drives him to commit such horrific acts. But first, we need to understand the movies Creep 1 and Creep 2, which the first one is just called Creep. But I'm doing that to decipher between the two. Creep is a unique film due to its found footage videography and the characters themselves. Both films didn't do well at all in the box office because they were only available on streaming services like Netflix, but they had a big impact on the fan base for these kinds of films. Critics also had rave reviews for Creep 1 and Creep 2 for their effective use of found footage and character-driven tension, and a minimalist approach to horror. Essentially, Mark Duplass, who portrays Joseph, the antagonist, stole the show with his distinct yet unsettling persona.
This is my destiny. Sarah loves her juicy fruit, and Aaron loves to kill.
So the story begins with Joseph hiring a videographer named Aaron to document his life with the idea that he's creating a video diary for his unborn child.
The ad said $1,000 for the day.
The job is pretty simple, really. All you need is a video camera, yourself, and 8 hours of your time.
As the day progresses, Aaron becomes increasingly concerned about Joseph's behavior, culminating in a chilling revelation that shatters any semblance of trust between the two men. Now the sequel, Creep 2, introduces us to Sarah, a daring amateur filmmaker who responds to Joseph's online ad seeking subjects for his documentary project.
Looking for a videographer, $1,000 for the day, honesty and emotional bravery a must, fans of Interview with the Vampire Plus, let's go deep together.
But she's unfazed by others' warnings about Joseph's questionable past, and then Sarah embarks on a filmmaking journey with him, unwittingly entering a dark and dangerous game of manipulation and deception. Alright, so now getting into the first movie, the videographer Aaron answers a cryptic Craigslist ad for a one-day job in a remote mountain town.
Not sure who I'm meeting. The ad said $1,000 for the day, filming services. Discretion is appreciated, whatever that means.
There's nothing that sounds weird about this at all. The job seems simple enough. Document a day in the life of Joseph, a terminally ill man who wants to leave a video diary behind for his unborn child, as we've already mentioned before.
They gave me about 2 to 3 months to live. I'm hoping I beat it, and the power of positive thinking, maybe, who knows?
However, as the day progresses, Aaron realizes that Joseph is not who he seems, and his intentions are far more sinister. From the very start of the movie, Joseph creates a very unsettling environment for the viewers. The secluded and claustrophobic shooting locations enhance the effect and allow viewers to get immersed in the world of Creep. A very clever approach that was used by Patrick Bryce to really get the viewers emotionally involved with the characters. The found footage technique and the script itself gave viewers a personal window into the brains of the characters. Well, not unfortunately for Joseph, because throughout the two movies, he curates specific personalities and makes us believe that that is who he is, but it's not. Aaron goes on to spend the whole day with Joseph as his character unfolds from a jolly man to a psychotic stalker and killer. When they first met, Joseph tried to scare Aaron by sneaking up on him.
Hi!
Oh, I'm sorry.
But it was later discovered that he didn't sneak up on him at all, but was in fact stalking him. He was already there.
I took pictures of you.
Why?
I don't know.
Joseph starts acting in a weird way right off the bat first. He tells Aaron that he has cancer and that he's going to die and wants to film a video for his son. But later on, it is revealed that these videos were not for his unborn son, but a murder documentary for Joseph. But more on that later as we'll explore Joseph's mental space in detail. So he actually made Aaron film him while he took a bath and pretended like he was bathing a small child. Now, this was either a severe case of schizophrenia or he was just acting to manipulate Aaron. Now, there are many debates about this online about whether or not if Joseph really had a mental illness or if it was just all an act to make his victims feel safe. As the movie progresses, Joseph manipulates Aaron into engaging in increasingly disturbing activities, which tells us that he likes seeking a twisted form of emotional connection with his victims. At his core, Joseph is a sadistic predator who takes pleasure in murder and inflicting suffering, keeping his victims in a state of constant fear and anxiety. That's how he really gets their ass. However, one scene that particularly stood out was the one in which Joseph takes Aaron on a long walk in the woods. They reach a lake where Joseph points out a heart-shaped stone and carves A+J on the stone, indicating Aaron plus Joseph. Romantically or friendship-wise, who the hell knows exactly what it means. This was very strange. It was almost as if Joseph wanted to build an emotional connection with the very man he was going to kill. Now, another really interesting character in the film, which isn't really a different character at all, is Peach Fuzz, a wolf costume which symbolizes Joseph's alter ego.
Hello, my name is Peach Fuzz. I might look like I eat you up.
The story that Joseph told Aaron about Peach Fuzz was that he bought the costume to do a role play for his wife, who liked to watch animal porn, because that's just some regular shit for them, I guess. But later on, when Aaron managed to call Angela, supposedly Joseph's wife, he found out that she was not his wife, but his sister. Angela warned Aaron to leave the place as soon as he could because he was not safe. Of course he's not. And this is where, of course, everything went downhill. Alarmed and increasingly afraid for his safety, which is justified, Aaron manages to drug Joseph and escapes, hoping to leave the madness behind. But Joseph's grip on Aaron's life only tightens. He starts getting disturbing messages and deliveries from Joseph, who keeps following him. The deliveries contain strange presents like a stuffed toy and eerie video messages that Joseph had filmed for Aaron.
The doorbell rang while I was in the bathroom, and the delivery guy left this on my doorstep.
If you haven't found the third element, I would encourage you to press pause now and dig a little deeper.
Aaron's attempts to seek help from the authorities are frustratingly futile.
There must be something you can do. I'm glad you're taking this seriously. You guys have been entirely unhelpful. I'm sure I'll be sleeping soundly tonight.
Leaving him vulnerable to Joseph's escalating obsession. The tension finally reaches its peak in a chilling climax. Joseph, now embodying his sinister alter ego, Peach Fuzz, confronts Aaron in a final horrifying encounter. The ultimate twist is revealed in the closing moments. Joseph, a meticulous predator, records each of his victims' final moments. The film ends with Joseph adding Aaron's tape to his disturbing collection, each labeled with the names of his previous victims, suggesting a long history of calculated terror. This is where it all gets really interesting. You see, Joseph is a completely narcissistic psychopath, and we don't even really know his real name. If you've watched part 2 of this movie, you will come to know that he actually introduces himself as Aaron to his next victim, Sarah.
I'm Aaron.
Sarah.
Wow, that's your real name.
This means that he actually uses the name of his latest victim, and the cycle continues. If you zoom into the ending scene of the first movie, you will see a videotape with the name Joe written on it, which could be a nickname for Joseph, which means this is where the original name that we got for Joseph came from. Another interesting fact is that in Creep Part 2, Joseph, or now Aaron, tells Sarah that he was approaching 40 and he had killed exactly 39 victims at that time.
I am what is commonly known as a serial killer. I have killed 39 people. I'm also turning 40 this year.
Which means one victim every year, going up as he ages. So is that exactly his age, or is he just basing it off the amount of victims he's killed? The immediate assumption of intimacy and importance in Aaron's life demonstrates a sense of entitlement and grandiosity. The Peach Fuzz dance that he did was deeply unsettling, revealing Joseph's ability to hide his true intentions behind a facade. The unsettling nature of the performance indicates his pleasure in disturbing others. He was extremely emotionally unstable, which means he also might have had BPD, or borderline personality disorder. He also made insensitive remarks regarding his wife, saying that he scared her in the bath, and the most disturbing one is that he raped her with a wolf mask on. See, this shows his lack of empathy. He was numb to normal human emotions and had no respect for them. In the final scene where he kills Aaron and then proceeds to take a video with him, this shows that he also had a voyeuristic element to his personality. He gained pleasure from the act itself and from the ability to watch it again later. When he met Aaron for the first time after scaring the out of him, he gave him a big long hug,
So, just.
Okay.
which was a clear sign of ASPD, the antisocial personality disorder. People with ASPD often use charm to manipulate others into a false sense of security. Joseph's character in the films is portrayed as having a complex psychological landscape, marked by betrayal, abandonment, and an unsettling obsession with forming connections with his victims. He utilizes manipulative tactics driven by a deep need for control and validation, orchestrating elaborate scenarios to assert power and dominance. One of the unsettling aspects of Joseph's character is his ability to switch between apparent vulnerability and intense aggression, keeping his victims uncertain of his true intentions. This unpredictability enhances the narrative's tension, adding to the psychological thriller elements of the movies.
Nice. I'm coming.
Joseph also employs gaslighting techniques throughout the films, aimed at undermining his victims' perception of reality.
Have you seen my keys?
They're in your jacket, right? Maybe they're in your jeans?
Aaron,
Yeah?
did I freak you out with my story?
By confusing and disorienting them, he erodes their trust in their own judgment.
Been having crazy ass dreams tonight.
On top of that, Joseph exploits his victims' vulnerabilities and insecurities to exert emotional control over them, manipulating their perceptions and behaviors to maintain a psychological hold on their lives. Creep Part 2, on the other hand, is very different from Part 1, because in this movie, our antagonist actually reveals his true self to his new victim. We see him vulnerable and very open about his feelings. He tells her that he's a serial killer right off the bat and that he's suffering from an existential crisis.
I like that you came in already filming.
Yeah, I want you to get your money's worth.
Yeah. You know, people don't really believe in that. You gotta keep the camera on if you want to keep the magic. I mean, you and I kind of have a thing. I like that. I am what is commonly known as a serial killer. I don't love that nomenclature. I sort of consider myself a murderer, but I think I fucked myself in the head. I don't trust my instincts anymore, and I feel like I may have lost what made me great.
But still, we can't really trust him because all of this could just be a part of his manipulation. But what makes this movie stand out is the fact that we get to see an active protagonist in Sarah's character. Unlike Joseph's last victim, Aaron, Sarah was actually hunting mentally disturbed people to make a web series on them.
Hi, I'm Sarah. Welcome to Encounters, the show where I look behind the strange world of online personal ads to try to uncover the humanity.
She was actively going to such odd jobs in order to document people with unique behaviors and psychological disabilities.
He is highly unpredictable and potentially dangerous, and you were not there for 10 minutes before his dick was in your face. Sarah, you were not there for 10 minutes before his dick was in your face. He's everything you've ever wanted in a subject.
The cycle repeats, and Joseph, now Aaron, puts up an ad on Craigslist for someone to make a video of him. Sarah, being who she is, picked up the gig and reached his house. Well, not his house, because we already know that he always rents up places in remote areas.
One of my latest was this big old sweetie, and I called him Buddy. And I stuck an axe and a stump outside of the house I rented.
Upon reaching the location without wasting any time, Joseph offers Sarah a drink and proceeds to tell her that he is a psychotic serial killer and he is going to kill her later on.
I can offer you two things. Firstly, I won't kill you over the next 24 hours. That would be counterproductive.
And I guess you gotta respect his honesty, right? The guy just doesn't give a He tells her that he's making a documentary of himself, portraying him as the greatest serial killer of all time.
What if I make a documentary about the world's most prolific serial killer that no one knows about?
Now, before we get into Joseph's horror psychology, we need to understand Sarah first. You see, Sarah was trying to manipulate Joseph and get close to him for her web series. At first, she did panic, but later on, she kind of got into it, you know? A very disturbing scene from the starting scene of this film is that Joseph got naked in front of her and asked her to do the same because, according to him, this was them exposing their souls to each other.
I just think it's important that if there is a wall, a gender divide, this is a spiritual journey, so we need to eradicate.
I agree.
Okay, we're good.
Is it my turn?
I'm sorry?
And although Joseph lied a lot, I would say Creep Part 2 is where we got to see him vulnerable because some of the things he said actually made some sense.
Well, what if I told you that at the end of this road, I was going to cut off your head and snuggle fuck it?
For example, this one time he told Sarah to leave by saying that he would eventually end up killing her otherwise. And of course, Sarah refused to believe that he was actually a serial killer because she has met some crazy ass people in her lifetime.
Do you believe that I'm a serial killer?
No.
This was her going into denial. Despite having clear signs right in front of her, she chose to ignore them and made sure to stay in danger for the sake of her web series. People really do end up doing anything for good content. Seriously.
Hush, little baby, don't say a word. Mama's gonna buy you a mug.
We see Sarah trying to ask Joseph questions when he takes her to the lake, but Joseph, being Joseph, does not respond.
Did you have any friends growing up? Did you have a best friend?
Sure.
Tell me about your best friend.
You're asking a lot of questions.
He was more so fixated on creating a new persona for her so he could kill another victim with another different story. As the day progresses, Sarah starts to see glimpses of Joseph's vulnerability. In a particular intense scene, Joseph breaks down completely, confessing to Sarah how profoundly lonely he feels.
I had my first sort of like psychotic break when I was like 14, so I was in an institution until I was about 19. So by the time I got out, I'd had a split with my family, and I got a job in security, which was mostly older people, so I didn't really consort with people my age, and I just missed the boat. I just missed it.
This emotional collapse reveals a stark contrast to his earlier, almost narcissistic portrayal as someone obsessed with documenting his own legacy. This was a clear sign of bipolar personality disorder. Throughout the film, Joseph exhibits a series of disturbing behaviors that add layers to his character. He often stares at Sarah with a sadistic intensity, especially during the opening scene when he was making a green smoothie for her.
I'm Aaron.
Sarah.
Also, Joseph's conversations are marked by peculiar pauses and out-of-the-box speech patterns. He frequently mimics Sarah's mannerisms and phrases, attempting to blend in and seem more relatable. This sort of mimicking behavior is a part of his method to forge a connection and manipulate his victims, as seen when he starts echoing Sarah's interest and speech shortly after meeting her.
It's a nice camera, by the way. Are you a filmmaker by trade?
And don't get me wrong, there are situations in real life where a person may approach you with a perky nature to them, and you may want to match that energy to also come off as being generous. But with Joseph, you can tell that it's very different. In a significant moment, Joseph, showing vulnerability, confesses to Sarah that he has never kissed a girl.
Have you ever seen that movie, Never Been Kissed? I should have written and directed that movie.
Then Sarah, showing pity, goes and kisses him, which seems to bring him genuine happiness. This scene humanizes Joseph in a conflicting way, and it also makes it a dangerous turning point as his attachment to Sarah intensifies. And although we already knew what Sarah was trying to do, Joseph just didn't want to miss out. He soon discovers Sarah's YouTube channel and reveals to her that he knows that she's been trying to use him for personal gain.
Well, I know you don't make wedding videos, and I know you have a knife in your boot. I want you to know everything's okay. I'm not mad.
And yes, betrayal is something psychopaths do not like. Actually, no one likes betrayal, but especially psychopaths. This is because they have fragile emotions due to the feelings of abandonment and rejection endured by them throughout their transformation processes. And the same thing happens right here with Joseph. He couldn't stand the fact that someone whom he had managed to trust a little after so long betrayed him. He had taken Sarah's keys and a knife inside her boot so she couldn't escape.
I have the keys, there's nowhere to go.
Then he took her to a place in the dark where we could see a grave dug up. The twist here is that Joseph ends up stabbing himself instead of Sarah, and then proceeds to tell her to stab herself too. He wanted her to die with him, and this specific behavior portrays severe narcissism and delusion inside the character.
We both stab each other and we both crawl in the grave and we die together like Romeo and Juliet. I'm not gonna stab you here. I love you too much. Take it. You do it.
He thought that his shallow lies and manipulation had managed to get him a meaningful connection with her, and that if they had died together, they would stay together forever. And of course, Sarah did not kill herself because she is not a complete psycho like Joseph. Instead, she ran away because now she had actually lost her shit. Joseph tried to follow her and ran behind her throughout the forest. And did catch her. He stabbed her multiple times and took her to the grave. Just when he's about to finish the recording, our protagonist jumps in and smashes his head with the very shovel he dug the grave with. Sarah manages to escape and, well, Joseph's 40th kill remains unfulfilled. Now let's talk about that ending. This is where the director and producers decided to leave us on a cliffhanger. Those sons of bitches. We get to see Sarah in a bustling city roaming around carefree, but wait. Who's recording? Wasn't the film in a found footage shooting style? Well, yeah, you got it right. It seems like Joseph got himself a camera and won't need to hire people with cameras off of Craigslist anymore. Joseph is still free out there, as we can see, and getting a third film wouldn't really be a surprise. And we could definitely see Sarah again, and she might be the one who could actually put an end to him. Part 3 has been rumored, but we're not sure when it'll be released. As of 2020, Duplass told IndieWire that Creep 3 was still in the works, though he and Bryce were struggling with the script. But one thing we definitely know for sure is that we'll get to see Joseph in action again, because such characters don't go away easily. And also, before I go, recently the Duplass Brothers Productions completed filming on the Creep Tapes, a new upcoming TV series that is taking a deep dive into the films per popular news sources like Variety. All the details about the show have not been released yet, but apparently we'll get to see Joseph's collection of tapes from his closet, and maybe some more lore to connect and lead us into the third installment. And I think that'll do it for the horror psychology of Joseph. If you guys enjoy this series, please let me know down in the comments below, and I'll have a lot more to come. But until next time, thank you guys for watching.